The next time you open Amazon and search for a product, there is a good chance you will spend more time comparing prices than thinking about where that product came from. That is not criticism. It is simply the reality of modern life. Most consumers never see the factories where products are made, the farms where ingredients are sourced, or the long and often complicated supply chains that bring those products to our homes. We trust that the companies selling them have done the necessary work to ensure that everything behind the scenes is ethical, legal, and responsible. Yet every once in a while, a story emerges that forces people to look beyond the packaging and ask difficult questions. Sometimes those questions reveal a hidden environmental cost. Sometimes they expose poor labor practices. And sometimes they uncover an animal welfare issue so vast and so disturbing that it is difficult to understand why more people are not talking about it. That is exactly what is happening right now with a product called Is Ejiao and a growing campaign that is urging Amazon to stop allowing it sell through the company's marketplace. For many people watching this video, the word Is Ejiao may be completely unfamiliar. Before researching this story, some of you may never have heard it spoken aloud. However, despite its relative obscurity outside certain parts of the world, Ejiao has become the center of one of the largest equine welfare controversies on the planet. According to animal welfare organizations, the global demand for this product is helping drive the slaughter of millions of donkeys every year, creating consequences that extend far beyond the animals themselves and into some of the world's most vulnerable communities. The controversy has now reached a point where international charities, veterinarians, lawmakers, and hundreds of thousands of concerned citizens are calling for action. At the center of that effort is Brooke, one of the world's leading equine welfare organizations, which has launched a petition calling on Amazon to remove Ejiao products from its platform. To understand why so many people believe this issue deserves urgent attention, we first need to understand what Ejiao actually is. Ejiao is a gelatin that is made from donkey skins. It has been used in traditional Chinese medicine for centuries and remains a highly valued product among many consumers. Historically, production was limited by the number of donkeys available within China itself, and for a long time the industry remained relatively contained. However, as China's economy expanded and demand for traditional health and wellness products increased, the market for Ejiao grew dramatically. What had once been a relatively specialized product gradually transformed into a multi-billion-dollar industry. The challenge for producers was simple. The number of donkeys available within China was declining at precisely the moment demand was increasing. As domestic supplies became insufficient, manufacturers and suppliers began searching for donkey skins elsewhere. Over time, the search expanded far beyond China's borders and eventually stretched across Africa, Latin America, and other regions where donkeys remain an essential part of everyday life. It is here that the story takes a dramatic turn. When many people think about equines, they picture racehorses thundering down a track, Olympic dressage horses dancing through a Grand Prix test, or beloved family horses grazing peacefully in a pasture. Donkeys rarely receive the same attention. They are often overlooked despite the fact that they may be among the most important working animals in human history. Across vast regions of Africa and other developing parts of the world, donkeys are not pets and they are not luxury animals. They are essential tools for survival. They transport water from distant wells. They carry crops to market. They haul building materials. They help families travel long distances. They provide labor that would otherwise require expensive machinery that many communities simply cannot afford. For countless families, losing a donkey is not comparable to losing a possession. It is closer to losing a vehicle, a source of income, and a critical piece of infrastructure all at once. This is one of the reasons welfare organizations have become so alarmed by the growth of the donkey skin trade. As demand for donkey hides has increased, reports have emerged from multiple countries describing widespread concerns about theft, illegal trading, and rapidly declining local donkey populations. In some communities, families have reportedly woken up to discover that animals they depended on for their livelihoods have vanished overnight. Even when animals enter the trade through legal channels, welfare advocates argue that the journey many donkeys experience raises serious concerns. Investigations conducted over the years have documented allegations of overcrowded transport conditions, inadequate access to food and water, disease outbreaks, injuries, and poor treatment through the supply chain. Animal welfare groups contend that the sheer scale of the industry makes consistent oversight extremely difficult and creates conditions in which suffering can occur on a massive scale. What makes this issue particularly striking is that the impact extends beyond animal welfare alone. One of the recurring themes emphasized by organizations such as Brooke is that the donkey skin trade is also a human welfare issue. When a family loses a donkey, the consequences ripple throughout the daily life. Tasks that once took a few hours can suddenly require an entire day. Children may spend more time helping transport water and less time attending school. Farmers may struggle to bring goods to market. Economic opportunities can shrink almost overnight. This means that every discussion about the future of the Ejiao industry inevitably becomes a discussion about people as well as animals. That reality has helped transform what might once have been viewed as a niche welfare concern into a much broader international debate. Over the past several years, awareness of the issue has grown steadily. Animal welfare organizations have launched educational campaigns. Journalists have investigated supply chains. Veterinary groups have voiced concerns. Politicians have introduced legislation. Petitions have gathered hundreds of thousands of signatures. And increasingly, attention has turned toward the role played by major online marketplaces. Campaigns argue that companies such as Amazon occupy a uniquely influential position because they help connect products with consumers. While Amazon is not producing Ejiao itself, critics contend that allowing products containing donkey hide gelatin to be sold through the marketplace helps sustain consumer demand and therefore indirectly supports the broader industry. From the perspective of welfare advocates, removing these products would send a powerful message. It would demonstrate that concerns about animal welfare are being taken seriously and that companies are willing to examine the ethical implications of the products available on their platforms. Supporters of the campaign frequently point out that other companies have already taken similar steps. They argue that precedent exists and that Amazon now faces an opportunity to demonstrate leadership on an issue that has attracted growing public attention. Whether Amazon ultimately decides to take that step remains to be seen. Large corporations rarely move quickly when confronted with complex global issues involving culture, commerce, regulation, and public opinion. Nevertheless, the pressure is clearly increasing, and the conversation surrounding Ejiao is becoming harder to ignore with each passing year. Perhaps the most remarkable aspect of this story is how many people are only now learning about it. Millions of consumers have likely encountered products containing donkey hide gelatin without fully understanding what those products are or how they are produced. For campaigners, raising awareness is therefore one of the most important goals because awareness often precedes change. History has shown repeatedly that consumer behavior can shift dramatically when people become more informed about the origins of products. Whether the issue involves environmental sustainability, labor conditions, or animal welfare, transparency tends to reshape public expectations. That is why organizations such as Brooke continue to push for greater visibility. They believe that once people understand the scale of the trade and its consequences, many will begin asking the same questions. How many donkeys are being killed each year? What happens to those animals before slaughter? How are communities affected when donkeys' populations decline? And what responsibility do companies have when products linked to controversial supply chains are sold through their platforms? These are not simple questions, and they do not have simple answers. However, they are questions that are increasingly being asked by consumers, lawmakers, veterinarians, and animal welfare experts around the world. Whether Amazon ultimately bans Ejiao products or chooses another course of action, one thing is already clear. A subject that once received very little international attention has become part of a much larger conversation about ethics, transparency, animal welfare, and corporate responsibility. For the millions of donkeys whose lives are directly affected by this trade, the outcome of that conversation may prove enormously important. And for the rest of us, it serves as a reminder that the products we buy often have stories behind them. Stories that begin long before we click a purchase button, and that can have consequences far beyond what we initially imagine. Thank you so much for joining us. And remember, I am not AI. If you listen closely, you can hear me breathing.